have these kids I worked so hard to have. I have this wonderful husband. I have this beautiful life. Why am I miserable?
We have a husband and wife team.
Josh and Katy Relon.
They are the founders of Blokes and Joy.
I feel like a new man compared to prior to starting Blokes and Joy. We went through so many marital issues. Not once did anybody say, go get your hormones checked. I think I was going down a pretty destructive path with my health. It's been a game changer for me personally, for my health, for our sex life, our marriage, our kids. Probably not here without it. I wasn't doing the small things. I wasn't prioritizing my sleep and my diet. The most important thing for me was just finally having the courage to say, I'm done with this. I want to feel better.
You had 4 miscarriages.
It wrecked us. It damn near pushed us away.
I went into this like warrior woman mode. He went the opposite way. Too scared to tell me that.
I had no sex drive and I was like, no, I still love you. I think you're beautiful. I just don't know why I don't want it.
I felt it the first night. I was like, oh. I woke up the next morning like, what?
It's like the definition of integrity in a relationship.
The Big Silence. It's time to sing.
Welcome to the Big Silence podcast, Cujo. He's thriving in Nashville. He loves it when he goes on a podcast tour. He gets away from his siblings. He's the star. And welcome, Katy and Josh.
Thank you for having us.
Cujo's back up here.
Founders of Joy and Blokes and friends.
Yes.
I just love your journey. And when I think of Nashville, I wanted to connect with friends out here. And so I texted you all. And now you're here. Yay. And I want to talk about your journey, your story, and just have an open conversation about everything. Love, life, relationships, hormones, business, all the things.
They all go together.
We're ready. Let's do it.
First of all, how long have you all been together?
Do you remember?
Well,
no one remembers.
10 years July.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years
But
this July.
We dated, 6 months prior to that?
Not very long. We were ready to go. But yeah, 10 years.
So 10 years ago. And then when did you start working together?
You could kind of say pretty quickly because, and not in this serious of a fashion, but Katy took over all the money and started trading our money because Katy was a broker and trader, and then we really went heavy into real estate in Denver. So we were always kind of doing stuff, entrepreneurial stuff together. And then my background's just always been in healthcare and medical. So I would do that, and that would be the side projects, and she would manage all that. So quite a while.
Yeah, since we started. But, Joy and Blokes has been 4 years now. And that's been like heavy working together.
That's like side by side, like, give me space. Get out of my room, Josh.
How'd you meet?
Mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I worked at Stryker, she was the rep in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then we ended up meeting at a concert at Red Rocks.
Lumineers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Love Red Rocks, love Lumineers. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of couples working together because it's really hard. And as you know Bobby very well, and he manages the finances, and I like to dismanage
the ideas.
I know it's such a hard thing. So let's talk about working together as a couple, and especially with Joy and Blokes. And I really want to dive into that because I feel like you all just like came on the scene, and at least for me, like you were at the forefront of what you do. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys just paid a lot of ads and I saw you. I don't know. But
we feel like we've been, doing this. I mean, we've been doing deep dive labs since we started, and it started because it just worked for us. Like we just each went through our own hard times. Mm-hmm. And so, created the things that really worked for us. So like we feel like we've been doing it for a long time, but there's a movement now, which is really cool to see. And it's exciting that, we picked this space 4 years ago and we didn't really know what we were doing or that it would be a movement, but it's pretty exciting to see it shift and move.
Yeah, I feel like even with Tone It Up, it was a movement before it was a movement, right? And I know from knowing you, so Josh, you had some sexual drive issues. And then Katy was going through perimenopause when no one was talking about it. And I'm in menopause now, and it's crazy. No one was talking about it. I didn't even know I was starting perimenopause when I was, 37.
Yeah.
And to be here now. So it's so interesting. I want to talk about that and guide me through that process and how you felt then and how you feel now and how your work has helped you two as individuals and as a couple.
That's a good question. I mean, the short answer is I feel like a new man compared to prior to starting Blokes and Joy. We went through so many marital issues. Like we went to counselors, multiple counselors, and never did anybody go, hey, maybe
that was kind of actually a funny thing to think about. We went to like a sex therapist.
Yeah.
Wait,
and
how
she
was that?
started going like back into our childhoods. I'm just like, I don't think this
damn,
is it.
dude.
And like, I love therapy, so I'm definitely not knocking therapy, but I'm just like this. I just don't think this is our issue.
She was like, what happened as a child? And you're like,
Here's
no,
the
it's my
funniest,
hormones.
the funniest thing. Like I'm sure you remember this, but she was sitting basically where you are, and she was counseling us, and like behind her, she's got like vaginas and like
And you're
and I'm
staring
like,
at that, like-
Jesus, like. Is this working? I can't really tell, but it was just the most awkward thing. But we went through so many issues, and not once did anybody say, go get your hormones checked. And once I was able to discover the power of hormones, because men go through their andropause phase, and once the symptoms started hitting and I started feeling really good, it was like, oh my God, to the movement piece, like it was moving in our household. I was like, if it moved us this much, how many other people can it move? And it's been a game changer for me personally, for my health, for our sex life, our marriage, our kids, and probably not here without it. I think I was going down a pretty destructive path with my health. I was, as you know, I was like 55 pounds heavier, and drinking and partying way too much and not prioritizing my health.
Because Blokes came first.
Yep.
So I love to point that out because this will probably come out in June, which is Men's Mental Health Awareness
Yes.
Month. And so many people don't talk about men's mental health enough. Women are very open. We're chatty. We'll say it, call our friends. But I would love to talk more about men and hormones, because I've read that men actually go through, like women with menopause, perimenopause, and menopause, men also go through a phase.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the aging process, just like men and women. The difference is we're dealing with one primary hormone, and that's testosterone. But, it's basically called an andropause phase, and every man will go through it at some point or another. It just, some cope with it better. And
You guys are going through it earlier than it used to happen.
yeah, I mean, same with females. I mean, we are experiencing, you're seeing more and more testosterone, obviously, and peptides and longevity, because there's money behind it. But there's also a lot of people to treat. I mean, we are a very metabolically unhealthy population, men and women. And all of that leads to this, recipe of disaster when it comes to male hormones, female hormones. So we're experiencing lower testosterone rates than we've ever seen in decades and decades and decades ago, lower sperm counts, all that. And we're just kind of a catalyst to help that.
Yeah, what's interesting, and you mentioned before, like no one, I don't know how you got help, or, when you were 37 and experiencing this, but that's the problem, is like our doctors aren't even educated about this stuff. And I see even daily messages to us now saying I'm, 44, and my doctor said I'm too early to go through that. And like, just that doctors are saying a statement like that is like very obviously false is problematic. And so I think this movement is great, that it's, teaching everybody, teaching us, our generation, that like this can happen. Here's the symptoms, and there's things you can do about it. And then I think through that movement, we're going to hopefully better educate our doctors.
Well, and it's normalizing the conversation. I used to be embarrassed to be like, I am in this phase of my life. Like you never think it's like coming until it's there.
Because you're young and you feel young and you look young and you're like, F this, like don't you think like menopause was something like your
You're
grandma
like
went
70.
through?
Yeah.
But you're like, no, actually, like we're all pretty, like we're aging well. We're taking care of ourselves in general and like kind of kicking aging's butt, I think. Like you don't have to be old at 50 anymore.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm like, hey, this is fine. I'm fine. But I felt safer once my doctor was like, oh no, you're fine. This is it. And I was like, no, like I'm not cycling until every 3 months now. Like things are changing. I have night sweats. I have insomnia. I have more anxiety. There's these changes going on. Like something is off.
Yeah, not fine. Yeah. The sleeping and the anxiety, it was for me. That was the most immediate for me. And that's like life-changing in such a terrible way.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, I think I was in my like 42 or something. And I'm just like, I have these kids I worked so hard to have. I have this wonderful husband. I have this beautiful life. And I was like, why am I miserable? Like, why am I sad? And why am I afraid of things now? Like I've never been afraid of before, right?
Yeah. Like, why don't I want to drive anymore?
Yeah. The anxiety was horrible.
Yeah. Let's go with Katy. You had 4 miscarriages.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. That was very hard. And again, a reason why, we started this business. I think I was very naive.
I mean, Katy and Josh had 4 miscarriages. I don't want to leave him out.
It wrecked us.
Good point.
It wrecked us.
Good point.
It wrecked us. But I mean, obviously, Katy is, the primary person in that, situation. But
it does
it damn near pushed us away.
Really?
From each other, for sure. Because I went into this like warrior woman mode of we've got to keep trying, keep going, we're going to get pregnant again. And he went the opposite way of saying like, I'm too hurt to try again. Like, I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to go through that again. But he was too scared to tell me that because I was, we were both hurt and it pushed us kind of away and we didn't communicate well. And that was really hard on our marriage. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty common now. You're seeing it a lot. People are struggling with fertility. So it's hard to see.
There's a level of vulnerability that as a man, it hits pretty hard. And I was so stoked to have our first child. And, I just remember us having so much fun and having so many visions and, imagining life. And then all of a sudden we get the news and it was just like, whoa. And for me, I did pull back. I was like, listen, I've accepted the fact that we're never going to have a kid. Mm-hmm. And I went the opposite direction. She went, let's go. We're getting this done. And I'm glad you did. So
yeah, I mean, now we have 2 beautiful kids, and now we just talk about how hard it is to have kids.
What did we do?
Where's the memo on that one?
Did it happen naturally, or did you have to do IVF?
Yeah, I mean, I did a bunch of IVF, like a lot. I did 3 transfers, and that was hard. It was.
Wow.
We ended up interviewing surrogates because our fertility doctors were like, you're gonna have a better chance than somebody else. So we went through all the things, paid all the money. I did all the drugs, but then they both were natural in the end. So
this is so important, and I'm sure there's clinical studies to back this, but in our relationship, I know why she got pregnant. It was because every time we were about to start a serious aspect of surrogacy or IVF, like she put her guard down and mentally, because she was so hyper focused and so stressed about it. But as soon as we had basically that safety blanket, we're like, we got science coming into play. We'd have sex and she'd get pregnant naturally and we'd have her kids. Yeah. It happened every time. And it was pretty powerful because
mind is powerful, right?
Yeah.
The mind is powerful, and the hormones that are created, and when cortisol levels go down, and
cortisol. Shit.
So, how old are your kids?
Lenny is 7, and then our son Rowdy is 4.
Okay, so Rowdy came around just in time for you to start your company together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was not going to be involved. I was like, I'm good. I've got my little baby, and that around that time, Josh was like, all right, come help me. I need your help. So
Well, and you know, both of our stories are rooted in our personal struggles with health. I mean, it was not long before that I had no sex drive, and I was like, no, I still love you. I think you're beautiful. I just don't know why I don't want it, you know? And then
Which is interesting because mostly you don't hear that from men.
they don't tell you that.
Yeah. Okay.
as a woman, that's how I felt, very like ashamed, like something's wrong with me. I'd gained weight. He doesn't find me attractive. It's me. And that was very hard on me, even though he would say it's not you. It's like, well,
It really wasn't.
We always take everything very personal.
And I remember, you know, like I was always pretty in tune with my body. And I was like, Jesus, I really don't have a sex drive. That's weird. Like, what's going on? And nobody really talked to me about it. But when we started Blokes, obviously we had the resources, the clinicians, and Katie's like, wow, you're changing. I love it. Like everything's coming back to the man I married. And then you started to lose your edge and started to lose your sex drive and started like,
that was actually,
I was like, I told you.
Actually ironic, because after I had my 2 kids and my hormones were all messed up and I was, you know, in my 40s, I was like, okay, I get it. I'm good. Now I don't need sex. So, and Josh is like, wait a minute.
Like,
Wait, I'm ready now.
I did all this for this?
Yeah. So honestly, that's why we do think it's important to, you know, for couples to be able to both feel good and both, you know, get their labs checked and make sure like you're both good. Because if one is on a different playing field, then like, can create some issues.
I know, and I have not used your product yet, but I want to. I know, I can't believe I haven't.
I know. We need to get you that lab.
I know, and this is my 2025 goal is to do the labs and do all that because I actually don't have a lot of sex drive since all of my hormones have changed, and
Stress too.
Yeah,
Stress will kill it.
yeah, stress will kill it, absolutely. But I'm excited to see like what could be, because I've done even like sleeping at night. I've done like there's a doctor that was on the podcast, Anna Cabrera, and she gave me some of her like progesterone, just topical. Yeah. And I actually like when I use that, I actually sleep better. I'm like, that's just a topical.
Yeah.
That stuff works.
Yeah.
It works. I remember the first time Katie took it because you were just like a mess. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and she's sitting there on her phone and it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And that was consistent. She's just like, I can't sleep. And then she finally got on progesterone and it was like an immediate game changer.
Yeah. I felt it the first night. I was like, oh. I woke up the next morning like, what? Wait,
like, did I sleep 8 hours straight?
You want to see Katie's anxiety levels go up, have her forget progesterone.
Oh, like when I travel, I think I did forget it the other day.
You've done it a couple times. And I'm like, should we have it? Somebody, where's
I was
Walgreens?
like, holy shit. That's the one thing I usually like
That's the one
will
thing.
not forget, but you know.
All right. So hormones, let's walk me through the process then of how your companies work for Joy and Blokes and the difference for men and women and how you target each.
Yeah. We actually just did a new website, Relon, branding relaunch
Oh, God,
yesterday.
That's been so much
Oh, okay.
work.
Well, of course I don't know.
So yeah, that's fine that you don't know that yet.
It literally just happened, but it feels like we've been working on it for a year.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous, and we're excited about it. But we do, you know, speak to men and women differently because it is 2 different kind of pathways and 2 different experiences. But we generally recommend starting with the lab because we feel like there's so much that you can discover, whether it's like vitamin deficiencies, inflammation, like how's your liver, kidney functioning. There's a lot in a lab. And so we do that first. And then after the lab is done, then you get a follow-up visit with a clinician who's trained in menopause, in more of a holistic viewpoint, in what like optimal labs should be versus, you know, just normal ranges. And so on, you know, during that call, you kind of go over like what's going on, what are your symptoms, what are your goals, go through your markers and kind of, you know, understand what those mean and what you can improve. And even from like a lifestyle perspective, like obviously what we do is hormone therapy. We do peptides. We have some supplements, but ultimately it all matters. Like you need a holistic, like 360 view of like, what do I need to change just maybe with what you're eating or how you're working out or how you're supplementing. So that's really valuable, that, you know, time with a clinician. And then from there, they customize a plan and give you options on what you can do based on, how you feel, like what's right for you.
Yeah. Is there a new website?
Yes.
Like what is the
joyandblokes.com.
Okay. So now it's combined,
Yes.
fully combined. Got it.
Yep.
So for you and changing with your hormones and as we age beautifully, has your workout changed? Like what are you?
Yeah,
She's
for
a beast
sure.
now. No, seriously, you've gotten super strong.
Yes, I'm a beast. Can't you tell?
Pop it out of his pants.
I'm definitely working on lifting and listening to my body in a different way. And I will tell you, like, I feel so good. Like we'll do workouts. We have this group, that goes Tuesday, Thursday morning at this wonderful, H-Dub gym here in Nashville. And it's so fun because we're with our community and we're lifting heavy things. And I just find it really empowering. And I always feel best on those days when we do that. But yeah, I'm trying to build muscle because I do think that's very important as we age.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know I've gotten into more lifting too, and I need to lift more and more protein and all the things. Did you gain weight, Katie, during menopausal time?
I've always, struggled up and down with it for sure.
Yeah.
And I always, I always have to work at it.
Yeah.
Also trying to up my protein, which I find probably is the hardest thing for me.
I've had a lot of these
Yes.
conversations, even with my trainer, Sandy, and everyone. Like, you're supposed to have 1 pound or 1 gram of protein per pound. I'm like, I cannot have 155 grams of protein.
Yeah, it's
a
a
day.
lot. Yeah. Some people do it
I
and
just
they look
can't-
great. So
Yeah.
I'm still, there's hope.
If I get halfway there, I'm like, you go,
We've
girl.
also struggled with finding the right protein.
Yeah.
It like just, whether it's a flavor profile or how it feels in your stomach. And
Yeah.
we got a handful that we've tried. And so that makes it even more difficult.
Mhm.
The only thing I will say is we do eat a fair amount of meat.
Yeah. And then Josh, your weight loss journey,
Yeah.
you lost over 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Walk us through that, because there's probably so many men out there too who are like, how do I do this? What do I do for workout? How do you change your diet? How long does it take? Because also talking about for men and women, it's not an overnight journey.
That's a good question. I think the first thing is just taking a really honest look in the mirror. I look back at pictures now and I'm like, geez, I'm sorry, babe. I let myself go. And I look back too for myself and I'm like, God, that was just not good. That was not healthy. And it happened over such a long period of time that I wouldn't say I got comfortable with it, but I did. I got comfortable in my own skin and I just accepted the fact that that's the way I was. But, it finally, I just had the courage to say, I'm going to fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do what I know how to do. And that's discipline and eat better and work out. Because when we started Blokes, I was still the same weight. And I got on all these therapies, peptides, testosterone, and I felt great, but my weight didn't change. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. But, I'm still not getting the body composition I want. And it was because I wasn't doing the small things. I wasn't prioritizing my sleep. I wasn't prioritizing stress. I was not prioritizing my diet. I was working out, but I wasn't working out with intention. And once I started doing those little things that are free, that you don't need peptides for and hormones, my diet changed dramatically. And I think the hormones and the peptides helped me get there quicker and more efficiently once I was able to make that adjustment. But I think the most important thing for me was just finally having the courage to say, I'm done with this. I want to feel better.
Yeah. You say the word free. Bobby loves the word free. So for someone listening, when you say you started doing those things that were free, can you talk more about what those things are?
It's everything that we talk about all the time that you hear all these people, all these healthy creators talk about. You got to prioritize your sleep. You got to do this. You got to worry about
sleep is free, vitamin D.
100%. Just get out and move.
And just mindset. It's mindset for
meditation is free.
Yeah. We have these shirts that say movement is medicine, and that's Eric Hinman. That's our collab. And I think I move every day now in some capacity. If it's a 30-minute walk, it's movement. If it's a hard workout, I'm moving. And, I think when you start doing little things like that, it's momentum to making better decisions throughout the day, throughout your life. And free choices is, eating something better than eating the junk food. And, you know, I used to be fine with eating junk food when we were at one point, not junk, but now my body craves good food. I didn't know what that felt like when I was unhealthy. I didn't care if I drank till midnight and woke up at 6 and felt hungover. Now I'm like, Jesus, I don't like that feeling. So I just think it's the things that we know what we should be doing that is free and prioritizing it.
How long did it take you to lose over 50 pounds?
It was probably 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 months of serious intent. You know, I got the what's the My Fitness Pal, and I started tracking everything.
Yeah.
And I found my ideal intake, caloric intake, and I wasn't a heavy calorie counter, but I knew. I mean, I wrestled most of my life and I cut weight. You know, calories in, calories out does matter to some extent in weight loss. But I was just disciplined. Like I cut out all the BS and all the, you know, the bad snacks, and I really prioritized the right meals. And once I really set my mind to it, it was not that bad, and I just cut out all the noise. But it was about 5 months.
Yeah. All right, let's shift you two working together. You've got 2 kids now. You start the company. How do you manage? And what is your advice to any couple working together? And we know it's not perfect, so you don't have to sit here and be like, "Oh, it's so easy. We just have this wonderful plan."
I would not sit here and say it's just so easy. I think though, one thing I do love about it is that we have this like the same goals and dreams, and that's really fun to be able to have a partner where you're really, you know, working on something together. And we love our family so much. And so everything that we're doing is, you know, for us and our family. And that's a really fun space to be in when the days are hard. That makes it worth it.
Do you have any rules like we can't talk about business after this time?
We can't follow those rules.
I know it's so hard.
We've tried to do this at dinner. We're like, okay, we're not going to talk about it.
And then you're like,
then the meal comes, we're like, hey, can I bring up one thing? And you're like, sure, go ahead. You know.
But I mean, that's what we're living and breathing right now too.
I mean, it's your life.
It is our life.
And you've created the freedom of your life to be an entrepreneur and have your business, and it is such a huge thing. I mean, I would imagine you talk about kids and biz.
Kids and biz. That's
pretty much it. And
that is. I will say, like, the one important thing for me that is hard to get in is like my own alone time and my own self-care and spending time with girlfriends that lift you up. I know, like, whenever I'm put something in the calendar and I'm like, my friends are here, we're doing this, or I'm going to go to a, you know, sound bath or whatever it is. Josh is like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, but I always come back from it like such a better person. Like I'm happier. I feel less stressed. So it's hard to fit those things in when you're doing everything that we're doing. But I think it's very important for my mental health.
Yeah, it is. I know. I mean, we're always, even with Bobby and I, figuring out like my business is very much social and what he does is very much alone. And so even, you know, I'm going to Palm Springs on Sunday and then he's like, friends are coming out. I'm like, I've been traveling a week and I just want to be like, curl in a ball, but then I have to recognize like what's good for him. And, you know, it's all about the like thinking of their perspective and mine and what, you know, and
that's interesting. So you recharge.
I recharge by myself.
Same.
And Bobby, when he's usually by himself for work, when I want to recharge, he wants to socialize. So it's like finding
I think that's
balance.
Us. You're a social.
Yeah,
I think that's us.
Are you and Bobby need to go hang out? I'll be like, we can go on vacation together, but I won't see you.
Get your own room.
Yeah.
Any partnership is hard. Like any business partnership, any marriage, any couple. Like it's just you have challenges, and I wouldn't want to be facing these challenges and these hurdles and celebrating the wins with anybody else. So for me, it's been good. And, you know, I think to some extent it's helped us in our marriage, and sometimes it's hurt us, but it's forced us to communicate better and, you know, understand each other differently and more intimately. And, so I think there's been some improvements from it, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
I agree. I would say that, like, with everything going on, I would never choose another partner.
Yeah.
Aw, we did good.
We did good. We did good.
It's crazy because, like, you have to think about, I mean, it's like the definition of integrity in a relationship. Like, if you have a partner that you just are like loosely trusting, and I trust her to make every good decision for our company that I would make. And I think she feels the same.
Yeah.
That's important. So do you have to check in with each other for every decision, or is it sometimes like he just trusts you?
I think we divide and conquer pretty well. I mean, there's things that I'm like, I don't have the capacity. I don't want to do that. You're very good at it. Like, do it, and vice versa. I mean, we do check in a lot, and it's really helpful to have, to talk over dinner and do all those kind of things. But I think we also divide and conquer. Don't you think?
Yeah.
You're like, yes. Don't you think?
Yes, I do. She's electrocuting me. I think we have really good compliments. And I think just the way we approach things are slightly different, but the combination of us both doing it together is really effective. And there are times when her design eye is really keen and mine is not, and vice versa. And even just strategic decisions about the business and vibes and, potential investors, like, I think we just complement each other really well. And so we do end up making a lot of decisions together, but we do divide and conquer a lot too.
I love that. So what is next for joyandblokes.com?
We're just in this growth stage. So we are really working to scale, and it's interesting because I think, it's not something that we've done before, but we're pretty confident in where we're going and what we're doing. We're seeing the people that we're helping, and we're doing it ourselves, but we're also looking for, strategic people to help get us there and help lead the way.
Do you feel like you have competitors, or are you on your own path? Yeah.
Well, I feel like we have a lot of competitors that chip at certain things we do, whether it's a company that just offers labs, or a company that's just focused on hormones, a company that dives into the supplement space. So we kind of compete with a lot of different people. I think we're pretty unique in the fact that we are somewhat a single source solution when it comes to a lot of those modalities. So we're less competitive there, but there's a lot of attention in longevity and hormone health and menopause and diagnostics. We are now at a point where we're scaling, and there's an inflection point that we've really grown the business pretty much self-funded to a pretty solid number, and we're competing with all those people. It was funny. We were looking at our deck, and we have all our competitors on our deck, and there's, indirect, there's 20 of them on there, and we're the only one that's self-funded. And it's a badge of honor, but it's also, we're at that point where it's like, we're ready to take on some strategic partners and put some rocket fuel behind it.
There's definitely been quite a few similar competitors who've reached out to me. I'm like, nah, when I'm ready, I've got some friends who have a company. I'm good. Thank you.
Yes. Keep doing that. I do want to say though, I think I'm excited about this space because even though there seems to be like a lot of people coming in, I think that it only helps because I think that we're really like kind of getting into this change in healthcare in general from a system that really never prevents anything. Like our healthcare system is not. It's great for you break a bone, you need a surgery, something happens, but there's no, I think you actually just said this yesterday, there's no ICD-10 codes for preventative health. Like it's just not, that's not how we're set up.
Right.
So I think what's cool with what's going on now is people are going, we need to look at our health differently. Like insurance shouldn't dictate what care I'm getting. Yeah. And so I think having all these people in the space and having competitors is a really good thing. It means things are going to change.
The shift is interesting. When we first launched, like nobody knew what the hell peptides were. Nobody knew what GLP-1 was. And longevity was like, oh, you're weird. You're a scientist if you talk about that. And now the shift in the marketing approach is just different. It might be more dense, but we're not educating as much anymore. We're now providing different value. And as competitors come in, it lifts everything that we're doing and that we've been saying. And, you know, now we just have a little bit of a bigger platform to say it.
You guys are way cooler than everyone else anyway. So, and
Thank
live in
you.
Nashville. All right. Well, any final thoughts or words? We find you at joyandblokes.com. We'll put it in the show notes. I am going to get my labs done finally because I need to.
Can we hold you to that?
Set it here. Set it here.
Perfect.
And I need to.
Done.
I would love a good night's sleep.
Oh, man.
I would love that for you too. Yes.
Yes.
If we would have known that, we would have brought you some progesterone.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Katy
Thank you
and
so
Josh,
much.
for
Thank
being
you.
here. And I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. I'm all for people who are just trying to make people feel better and make the world a better place.
Ditto.
Same. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you.
having us. It really means a lot.
And you. Thank you.
I know.
Thank
Cujo was
you.
working overtime.
Jeez, I'm going to, can we take him?
No.
The big silence. It's time to sing.